I never freeze.
Okay, let's take a trip back in time 8 years ago to be exact. A 10-year-old Jace World was getting ready to boot up his PS3 and play his favourite game at the time, Little Big Planet 2. As he started playing, he realised none of the online features were working. He couldn't browse any levels, the magic of creating his own was gone without being able to share them. His PS3 had broken, no longer connecting to the internet. He knew his parents would never just buy him a new one, especially with the news of next generation consoles around the corner. But for a kid who'd fallen in love with video games years prior, he needed his fix. He couldn't go on playing nothing. Then he remembered his father had a PC. He knew he could play games, even though he had no money. Surely that would be enough to entertain him until the release of the new consoles. He played an absolute ton of Roblox and mini-clip games. However, after a year or so, even that got boring. But one day he innocently downloaded Steam and checked the free-to-play section, not knowing that what he would find would influence the way he thinks of gaming for the rest of his life. Team Fortress 2, otherwise known as TF2, was an incredibly creative and innovative class-based first-person shooter for its time. And for a lack of a better word, to him, it was just awesome. It's hard to pick a place to start, but as soon as the game loads up, you are immediately hit with an orchestral masterpiece filled with personality, and it was very clear that the people who made this game genuinely cared about each and every aspect of it. Although it's harder to say now given the current state of the game, at the time there was nothing like it. By far the biggest selling point and most appealing aspect of the game, in my opinion, are the classes / characters that gave the game life. Instead of just having
I'm army man, and I shoot powerful gun. I shoot it. I'm army man, and I shoot a powerful. But my gun is different to the last. I'm different. I'm a different character.
Each character brought something completely different to the game in every aspect, whether it was the way they looked, how fast or slow they were, how they moved, the country they were from, the weapons and playstyles they had assigned to them, their own individual collection of cosmetics, and even if they were chatty.
Diagnosis? You suck! I love winning! Love it! Not so tough now, are you? Okay, this is not good. It's starting to bore me how much you suck!
Or they didn't talk at all. Everything about these characters were different, and yet they all bounced off one another with incredible chemistry. This is thanks to the amazing voice actors and writers who created hundreds of voice lines that really made the characters, and by extension the world, feel real. Like there really was a team of mercenaries doomed to fight one another forever. Each character also had their own completely different theme, expressing entirely new emotion. However, they were all orchestral and didn't feel out of place side by side. You probably already knew I would talk about this when clicking on the video, but with characters so full of, well, character, sometimes the game alone isn't enough to convey this. That's where the meet the insert character name here videos come in. These were usually 2 to 4 minute videos that would not only introduce each character and their personalities, it would demonstrate to the viewers the strengths and weaknesses of each character in the game and what to expect when playing. With there being a lack of proper tutorial for each character, this was a genius way to point the player in the right direction, especially if you were new to the game. As a kid, I had so much fun playing and testing each character's weapons and abilities to see which characters would do best when and where. By far my favourite 2 characters to play at the start of the game were Scout and Sniper. I loved the feeling of running and jumping out of the opposition's crosshairs, and in general, just being an annoying little and getting headshots as the sniper from across the map were as satisfying as the Rainbow Six Siege or Valorant 1 taps of today. I had played each character for a while, and just when I thought I was done using them to their fullest, the game would immediately pull me back in with a new item that would completely change everything I thought I knew about a character. For example, the demo man that would normally set up traps in common pushes and send explosives into POIs behind cover now with the half Zatoichi and Tide Turner, could become what is known as a Demo Knight, a crazed swordsman who could charge into action tanking damage, gaining his health back after every melee kill, or the Soldier who was expected to stay back and fire rockets from a distance at large group of enemies, but now when you unlock the rocket jumper and gunboats, was encouraged to fly through the air and crush enemies with his feet like some kind of deranged Super Mario. That's the moment I realized Valve lied about this game. It wasn't a game with 9 classes, it was a game with hundreds. However, just because there were all these wacky weapon combos and creative characters didn't mean the game wasn't taken seriously. Oh no, you couldn't be more wrong. There was so much room in the game for improvement. I could see it as an 11-year-old child. If I wanted to be good, I would have to put in the time. So that's exactly what I did. I would play hours and hours on end every day. I specifically remember using the huntsman bow as the sniper, learning the timing of the weapon and common enemy movement, leading to me becoming pretty proficient in using the weapon. As a child, I'd never really played a game with the sole purpose to become great at it before this game, and I don't think any other game will captivate me as much as this did. It's hard to put into words, but when I watched my score increase at the end of every game I played until I finally finished at the top of the leaderboards, a strong feeling of joy and accomplishment came over me, knowing that I did this. This was a result of my efforts. Finally, I wanted to end the video on a big part of what made TF2 so special to me, and I hope others can relate to this also. But aside from the official Valve animations, there was hundreds of fan-made SFM short films that would entertain me for hours, ranging from comedy to serious action adventures. This is also the community in which I found some of my favorite content creators on the platform, from the absolutely hilarious Germa and Star, that I know thousands of others found just as hilarious as I did, to the talented players like Muselk, yes, that Muselk, who started YouTube as a very good TF2 soldier, I believe. Also, sadly, very recently Rick May, the voice actor for the Soldier, passed away due to COVID-19. And in a time where everyone is incredibly sad and down about the world's current events, how did the TF2 community react to this news? With hundreds of tributes expressing the love and respect they had for a man that had brought so much joy to all of their lives. So in conclusion, I'm happy that my PS3 broke that day, because without that I may never would have experienced such an incredible game in its prime. So rest in peace, Rick May. And thank you, TF2.